morning once again, everyone. Welcome to our GE course, IT. Today we are going to talk about our module 12, the diffusion of digital innovations. And this is second to the last actually, but the last module will be left with you guys. So what can we expect from this lesson is that at the end of this module, we will be able to define digital divide and identify the characteristics of the digital divide, analyze statistics that contributed to the diffusion of technical innovations, and even differentiates the different beliefs that influence adoption of innovations. And of course, analyze the determinants of digital divide, understand the digital gender divide, if there is gender divide, and look at some women who are bridging the divisions or gap. And of course, we will also discover Everett's Reuter's theory of diffusion and diffusions and digital innovations itself. So what is diffusions and or digital divide? Maybe you already have an idea. What is it? Digital divide pertains to the gap between people who have internet access and those who do not have internet access. So the separations between people who have internet access and those who do not have, they are digitally divided. So it can also defined in terms of the skills people have in using technology. Those who do know how to use smartphone or technical innovations, or even those who do not know how to use gadgets. And of course, analyzing informations. So that's it. That's the digital divide. So there are two characteristics of digital divide. The first one is technological knowledge, something that divide people because of their knowledge in gadgets or technology, especially when the technology is being innovated. The second characteristic is to access the computers and technology-related innovations, or the capability or availability of these infrastructures, computers, gadgets, which are related to innovations. The global digital population as of January 21, this pertains the active users of different innovations. Let us say, for example, here, these are billions, There are 4.66 billion active internet users. You're one of these. This is global, and to say all over the world. And there are 4.32 billion active mobile internet users. And there are 4.2 active social media users. That would include Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and the likes. And there are 4.18 active mobile social media users. So it is being distinguished, active social media users and mobile social media users. So there's this kind of overlapping with each other. So this is the populations of 2021. Take a look at this, billions. So here in the Philippines, as of record 2019, there are only 48% of the overall populations that are using internet. Take a look at this. If there are 48% users, there are also 52% who do not use internet. And this is the clear picture of the digital divide. 48 who know well and how to use internet, and 52% do not know how to use or do not care to use internet. So we are being divided here in the Philippines now. This is what this data is telling us. There is a great divisions between the digital innovations between Filipinos. So the diffusions of innovations through social networks, DOI, or stands for the diffusions of innovations. Proponent is a study that aim to at understanding the what, when, why, and how new technological innovation, advancement, and ideas spread across cultures and in the world. So social network sites are the biggest. Some of these are Facebook diffusions. These are something that is people all around the world did all views. Many people in the world, social networks users. This is in October. Facebook and users. Di ba kanina is billions yun? Ranked by number of active users. Okay, active users. YouTube has 2.2 million active users. Okay. Kasi yung kanina, that was composed of active and inactive. So this one here, WhatsApp, comes for the third one, 2 million active users. So how about the famous WeChat or TikTok rather? Facebook Messenger. TikTok has only 1,000 millions. 1,000 millions pala to. Active users. Are you guys using TikTok? One of this is you. As you can see here in the data also, Facebook user is 2,895 million users, but there are only few who are using Facebook Messenger. What I mean by this? This means that there are only few people who are using Facebook Messenger compared to its counterpart, which is the Facebook itself. So there is a divide, no? Even to the using of social media. Indeed, we can tell that technological innovation, diffusion refers to community of a group of people, and there are several factors. The innovation itself. What do you think? Technology today that are actually not pleasing to other people. More divisions because no one would love for its advantage, its uses, and all that. That is the reason or the factor that affects the over, no, the hardships of how to operate a certain innovation. Information or disseminations of times it leads to delayed diffusions. Why? Because there are that helps YouTube. There are a lot of advertisement for about as well as TV commercial ads introducing the new Xiaomi phone, the new Samsung phone or iPad or whatever, Apple phones or something like that. It has to go through with how the information is being disseminated to other people. Sometimes it creates fast diffusions or slow diffusions. Time is one factor. Why? Because there are innovations that are actually not. There are timely innovations, and there are also not so timely innovations. Or there are innovations today that are actually not time advantage or not wisely introduced during the time. Or not people are not just open about new technology innovations. The social system wherein the innovation is introduced, that is indeed a great factor to consider because let us say, for example, if you will introduce new technological advancement to the people who do not know how to use and not even know or not even knowledgeable about how to use internet or how to use smartphones, then introduce something, they will not accept or they will not learn or they are not interested to your innovation. So it has to be considered the social system of the people wherein you introduced your innovation. And there are beliefs of or contracts that influence adoptions of any technological innovations. So what are those? There are 5. First is the relative advantage. This refers to the functionality of a certain innovation and how this innovation is accepted by users in terms of economic edge. the prestige that comes along with using innovations and convenience. So let us say, for example, you have a new discovery and you are innovating something old to you into new. People will tend to analyze whether what are the economic edge between these innovations, the uses, advantage, or the prestige that would come along by these innovations for them. If they find it advantageous at their end, they will relatively embrace it. And the diffusions will be easy, right? Let us say, for example, further about the time wherein a smartphone is being introduced. During that time, uh, like perhaps 2000, 2005, 2004, hindi pa sikat noon yung smartphone. Yung sikat niya is yung monophone. So people see a smartphone has an economic edge. And people also see that smartphone is more advantageous compared to the monophone. So take a look at now. The diffusions of mobile advancement or mobile gadget innovations has been spreading as fast as chismes. Why? Because of its relative advantage. Second is complexity. This has also a good factor whether an innovation is diffused fastly or slowly. This refers to the degree or difficulty involved in using or understanding the innovations. It be also be referred to as ease or use and how simple innovation is. If it is easy, then there are higher tendencies that the people will embrace the innovations. If not, you have to provide a detailed manual or guide on how to use or operate your innovation. In other words, complexity delays diffusion. Third is compatibility. This refers to the consistency of an innovation in terms of the present values, past experiences, and the need of a potential user compared to other existing innovations. Compatibility, especially about the people who are using or innovations that are fitted to the people, a group of people who will be using that innovations. Let us say, for example, there are a lot, there are, what do we call this, innovations for the medical machines, or what do we call this? Machines needed for the medical treatment. If you will introduce innovations which is far from the reality of the medical equipment, doctors wouldn't find it compatible and they will not embrace the innovations. So what are you going to do? You have to innovate the machine that are compatible to their profession. Because if they will find it compatible to their professions, they will embrace it and they will actually make your innovations use it for the easy operations or easy medical processes. This is even what do we call this? This is even applicable to us, especially about the innovations of um, cell phones, cars, and a lot other gadgets. Especially today that we are facing pandemic, there are a lot of innovations online, increase of innovations of internet, infrastructures, and the like. There is a compatibility in it. And if you do that, the diffusions of your innovations will be easy or fast. Third or fourth rather is observability. This refers to the opportunity for the user to see the results of a particular innovations. If this is satisfied, the prospect or potential user will most likely adapt to it. All right. So that is why in any innovations done by scientists or producer, they have to demonstrate how to use it and let other or potential people, potential users to try that innovation themselves. And that would lead us to the fifth beliefs, which is the triability. This refers to the opportunity for the prospect user to use the product for testing on a limited time basis. Actual hands-on experience is necessary for the potential user to use the technology. That is why stores or gadget stores would always allow users or potential buyers of any phones to try to operate the dummy phones for them to experience the innovation itself, whether this is good for them, they can find a relative advantage, how easy it is, and how compatible it is for their interest, especially about people who are looking for a good camera for their TikTok content and the like, as what they have seen it from other people. So triability is very important. It will make your innovations diffuse faster. There are also determinants of digital divides, or the reasons why there is digital divide. First is infrastructure. Infrastructure, having hardware, support, and physical locations to access technology. If the people in a certain place has the means to access internet, then that would reunite people which are being divided digitally. In other words, this is also the reason why there are lots of people who do not have an access over the internet, because here in the Philippines, we have a very slow internet connections. And that is something that makes other people not interested in accessing it. Maybe a lot of people did not have the means. They do not have the hard education as well as one of the determinants of skills to understand digital innovations. A competitive digital edge is determinant. To not know how to use it or how to use smartphone would tend to use it in any kind of smartphone, or even wishing for something better than what you already have now. That creates more users. Another determinant is income, the ability and capability to purchase and access technology. Here in the Philippines, since we are like, our wage here or our salary here is kind of lower compared to other countries, we were not able to purchase trending, innovative gadgets. And that is also the reason why the diffusions of digital innovations is slow in our country, because most of us are just, in the middle class. Something that is new or even oldies, but technologically advanced. So these three determinants creates in the divide: infrastructure, the means; educations, the how; and income, the what. How, what, and when. When can you buy? What are you going to buy? The digital gender divide. The digital innovation, as we have seen, has increased in a couple of years. Unfortunately, for some women, especially in developing countries like us, Philippines, we are left behind, which caused a gender digital divide. Especially mothers, no, na medyo busy sa work. House chores. Have you experienced that, or have you noticed that the mothers do not actually well versed about technology? They would always ask, paano nga to? Paano to gagawin? Paano nga mag-post ng Facebook content? Are the busiest persons in the world compared to men who are very adept of technological innovations. They have laid a better way to, diffuse innovations to women. We have Ana Maria Martinez, a CEO laboratory of Peru. She created a training program to identify and provide training for women coders to be used in their own business. Thanks to her. Before, mas famous yung IT courses for boys. But now, you can see a lot of women are taking IT course. and that actually bridges the gap between the gender divisions of digital world. Another woman is Neha Mezra, the co-founder and chief collaboration officer of a Solar Sister. Her company trains women to provide connectivity through the use of solar electricity, focusing on the lighting and clean cooking solutions. There is a compatibility in it, right? Innovations for the kitchen. She has helped women cross the bridge to the digital world, or at least digital innovations. Another woman is Esther Carrera. She is a chief business development officer of a Korean company limited at Uganda. She is a developer and manager of STEM program, the science, technology, engineering, and math programs for young girls. Something like, yung nasa senior high school course niyo, STEM. This program aims to course Moodle incorporated small farm holders to Uganda's agriculture industry. So she have been putting a bridge for the farmers. The impact of digital diffusions. The main questions in determining technological diffusion is determining how technological users or prospects choose one technology over the other. There is a Rogers theory of diffusions and innovations that propose to explain the diffusion of innovation is Everett Rogers. He is a rural psychologist whose study is focused on agricultural issues in the US and in developing countries. He mentioned that the diffusions of innovations is essentially a social process in which subjectively perceived information about a new idea is being communicated. So the meaning of an innovation is thus gradually worked out through a process of social constructions. We are referring here about how compatible the innovations towards each other. Doctors, nurses, accountants, lawyers, agriculturists, and a lot other people. So he further identified 4 elements of diffusions that would help easy diffusions of a technological advancement. The first one here is how innovation is perceived. How other people look at innovations, considering the 5 beliefs, whether these are giving them economic advantage or not. If they can see that this innovation is or has something to do with their improvements in life or human development whatsoever, they would embrace it. The diffusions will become easy. Second is channels of communications. How those innovations being communicated towards the potential users, whether it's through Facebook, it would be very faster, but you had to note that there are only few people who are using Facebook. So in order for the digital innovations to be very known to people, even those who do not know how to use internet access or internet, should be made known or showcased in a form that they can be exposed. Like, for example, TV. Innovation should be advertised on TV, or even seminars, or even exposures, or even demonstrations to the field, especially those farmers and other peoples who are far from the infrastructured city or far from the internet infrastructures. So channels of communications, how this innovation is being delivered to them so that they will see whether it has a good advantage over them or not. Time, again, how the information is being introduced. Social systems as well is one of the determinants or the good elements of diffusions. Social system has to do with, compatibility with the people in the society. Take a look at this. You would find it very hard to introduce your digital innovations to the people in the village who do not know about TV, who do not know about radio, who do not know about anything. You cannot do anything about them if you introduce smartphones. They would always ask, what is that? What is that for? They don't even know what is TV. That is why we need to consider the social system. So what do you think is the best societal, or what do we call this, the best society, groups of people that you need to be exposed first if you have a digital innovations? You will start to expose your products to those people who are well versed about innovations. That is why companies nowadays, they will use famous personalities to to endorse their products. Why? Because they have that idea that this famous figure will be seen by many, so that many people will know that there is a product like that. We call it endorsers. So you are targeting a certain systems in a society. Take a look at this, for example. Figures shows some of the successful innovations represented by the S-curve. Although this is not to say that the most innovations are successful, the S-curve is innovations and systematic, system is specific. And this has to do with the 5 beliefs: compatibility and economic advantage over the innovations. Let's say, for example, here from the start, the profit opportunity. Innovation starts here. Businesses sees Amazon Kindle was introduced during the early adopters. And this S-curve here, this part here, shows only a few users. Tapos agad. So in early majority, 34%, this is in this part, what are the innovations that we can see? We have here LinkedIn, iPhone, BlackBerry, Android. These are the sources we can tell that is the means or the means of accessing this. Facebook, YouTube, iPad, MySpace, Blog, Google, and a lot. So what can we tell about this S-curve? We can tell that in early majority or late majority, these innovations become famous. Why? Again, because of the compatibility, the personal inference of the users. And this one here, which has been introduced first, now in the part of laggards. And we are projecting that this innovation here in the past will not last any longer. No one is, considering to buy newspapers. Why? Because they can already have the news through their Facebook accounts. There are only less people who are considering to buy TV because they can actually watch movie through their smartphones. So time would come that these innovations in the past will become out of the picture. There are only 16%. Take a look at this. Discs. Do you remember about the CD? It's not being used. It's not now being used. The floppy drive and the USB. Time will come that those will not be, those will not be used. Ito talagang newspaper at saka TV. Mukhang lalabas na sa bahay ng S-curve. Di ba? But this one, Facebook, now they're even introducing the metaverse, where, their company names into Meta. That is indeed a digital innovations, a promising one for us to learn many other innovations in the futures. So perhaps we can expect more than what the Facebook currently offer us because of this meta, because of these innovations from their name, Meta. They would introduce perhaps more capability of Facebook compared to what they can already offer to us. So they diffuse the informations through their platforms. Have you ever questions